Hi guys, gals, and my non-gender conforming pals. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Carrington, and if you're new here, I would love if you hit that subscribe button and click the little bell right next to it so you can be notified of all my future uploads. So for today's video, we are going to do the palette tag. This was started by Samantha March and Allie Glines. I will have their channels linked down below. So let's get into it. All right, first question is, what is your newest palette? And the one that came to me last in a box that I ordered from Sephora is the Natasha Denona Divine Rose 2 palette. This palette is absolutely gorgeous. Like, see that like duochrome shade in there. This does only have two mattes, so you've got this matte and you've got this matte, and the rest of them are shimmers or you have that duochrome. It's not a deal breaker for me. I think that the two shades work with all of the two matte shades work with all the shimmers, so I don't feel like I really need to dip into another palette, but if I needed to, I wouldn't mind having to do so. But let's swatch this chromium shade. Ah, look at that. It's stunning. I love it. All right, let's try one that's not the duochrome, but still a shimmer. Okay, so I swatched the pink one right next to it. It doesn't have shade names on here, so I don't know what they're called. And then this is the dark purple matte that I'm gonna swatch. Ah, they just all swatch so good. Pat McGrath has one of the best formulas.
Okay guys, so apparently there's some audio issues in this section of the video, so I just wanted to say that the Nubian palette from Juvia's Place is my oldest. It is one of my well-loved ones. The swatches are still amazing, even though it's probably well over 2 years old. I got into makeup in like 2017, 2018-ish, and so that would be the first palette I ever bought. I was super excited. I got it from Ulta, so sorry for the audio.
All right, next up is your most expensive palette. And for me, that's the Natasha Denona Gold palette. Pat McGrath is up there in price, but Natasha Denona beats it by $4. So this is what the inside looks like. Ah, look at all these shades. It's such a good palette. These are so creamy and formulated. We've got Dijon, which is kind of like this mustard shade, so I feel like that's pretty fitting. Look at that mustard shade, and these swatch so nice. We're gonna take Aurora, which is a shimmer. Oh, that one's kind of disappointing, actually. I've never played with this shade or swatched it, but that's okay. Let's see if maybe like another swipe. I don't know. Okay, that one's a little bit disappointing. But then we're gonna take Kava. Try that out. See what we think. So reflective and creamy. I love this palette. This is really good. Again, the shades just kind of blend themselves out. The shimmers, I guess except for that Aurora shade, really do pack a punch. It looks really nice and wet and reflective on the lid. Sorry if I'm blinding you with the palette. Up next is the most affordable palette. And for me, I have the e.l.f. Bite Size. I have all of them, all 8 of them. I just pulled out the hot jalapeno one. These are $3. And you get, for $3, you get 3.5 grams, which is a lot of product for how little this is. But there's one of the mattes. Here's the shimmer. Like, e.l.f. just did a really good job for $3. All right, next up is an everyday palette. And this one has got to go to the Tati Beauty one. This one is definitely an everyday one, and I have used this quite often. Okay, you have your neutrals. You can darken it up with a black. You've got some colors of orange and maroon / burgundy to kind of add to it. You've got like a light shade right here to add all over. This is such a good palette, and you have different formulas. You've got matte, you've got a shimmery matte, you've got shimmers, and you've got glitter. This to me is an everyday palette. You can do something light for work and then come home if you're going to go out and throw on a glitter, or throw on, you know, Story, Soothe in the crease, and then Ritual on the outer edge, and put on one of the shimmers. But then when you come home, deepen it up with, what is this? With Memory, and throw on one of these glitters. Such a good palette. This is such an everyday palette. So I really like that. Here's one of the mattes, again, in Story. So good. And then the shimmer in Story as well. Just so good. Such a good palette. This is definitely a good everyday palette. I highly recommend this palette. Next up is your most colorful palette. And I don't have a lot of rainbow palettes, but I do have one that definitely fits this category, and it is stunning. This is from Peachy Queen, Never Trust the Living. It's like a Beetlejuice inspired, like here's his outfit. This is what the back looks like, and the inside is very colorful. This is the inside. You've got mattes, you've got shimmers, you've got glitters. The palette is absolutely stunning. So I'm gonna swatch Paranormal. Super pigmented. I'm gonna Handbook. Look at that shimmer. That is beautiful. This palette is absolutely beautiful. Such a good palette. If you're into Beetlejuice and really like the color story, like stuff that's colorful, definitely go and check this out. If press glitters are a thing, you don't want to spend the money, because it is kind of more expensive. It's like $39, I think, to have press glitters. You'd rather have a more colorful palette that doesn't have press glitters, you know, that's fine. But I love this palette. This is such a good rainbow palette if you need it. Like the color story, like the shade names all relate to Beetlejuice. So next up is your smallest palette, and I could have put the e.l.f. ones there as well, but I decided to do the Natasha Denona minis. And the reason why is because look how tiny these pans are. They're so tiny compared to the e.l.f. So this is $25. I would kind of want bigger pans, so I'm gonna swatch Earth. Nice matte, and then I'm going to swatch Cosmo. It's like bluish shade. Yeah, that's a. I mean, she has good qualities, but again, they're just such tiny pan sizes. And this is the Mini Star by Natasha Denona. I have other ones of hers. I think I've got like the Mini Leela, Mini Nude, Mini Sunset. This one, the Glam one maybe. Palette is what is your biggest, and for me that is the BH Zodiac palette. So there used to be like a shimmer in here, or I think it was like a highlight that fell out today as I was going through this. Yay. I have never used this, so I'm going to swatch Cancer. That's actually nice. Okay, here's the Cancer matte shade. I'm a Pisces. We got to try out the Pisces. What? Why haven't I used this? Guys. A what? I don't know how long I've had this, but I haven't used it, but it's, I don't know, that looks super, super good. This is my biggest, and if the option for least use was in there, it would be this one, because I've never even used this, and I've had this a year, if not more, and I have not ever touched it. So maybe we should do a shop my stash and I use this. Let me know if you want to see that below. Okay, next up is Best Memory, and there's 3 palettes, but they're all from the same brand. They all have the same theme, and they were gone at the exact same time. So my best memory are the ColourPop Disney palettes. I've got the Masquerade, I've got the Disney Princesses, and the Misunderstood palette. The reason that all of these come in is because these are the first palettes that my husband ever bought me. And I am a Disney nerd. Like, I love Disney, everything Disney. And so he bought these for me, and yes, I love them. Here's like the villains, like just that color story, the background, and then the princess one. So good. And the Midnight Masquerade. Guys, Mama Odie. I love Mama Odie. I'm gonna swatch Mama Odie because it's so good. It's like a greenish gold kind of shift, kind of champagne like. I love using that shade whenever I use this palette. I've gone ham on that shade. Those are just definitely hold a huge memory. My husband bought them for me. It's the first palettes he's ever bought me, and I love them. Good quality, good brand. Can't say enough good things about them. Next up is what you think is worth the hype. And for me, that's the Jackie Einok palette by ABH. This got a lot of hype, and I feel like ABH did not give her a lot of time to shine because they immediately started releasing those like Norvina palettes like 2 weeks after. And so it was like this was very short-lived, but this was hyped up, and this is so worth the hype. This has beautiful tones, beautiful shades. They're good for all skin tones. She really made a palette that was very diversive. And let's watch Dwalas. Like a million Dwalas, you know. Sponsored. Supreme. And Ginger. They're just they're so pigmented. They're so good. It was $49. Last I checked, you could still get these. Again, this is so good. Jackie really, really deserved all the hype that she got, and these are definitely worth the hype. They are pigmented, they are buttery, they are creamy, they go for a variety of skin tones. Of all the ABH palettes, this one has got to be my favorite, and I think it's definitely worth the hype that it got. Worth the hype. For me, it's Urban Decay Naked Honey. A lot of people don't like the Naked palettes, but this one probably has the most hype out of all the Urban Decay palettes. And I don't really love it. I don't know. Here's the shade Keeper. The shade Honey. That one didn't really swatch that great. HBIC. That one swatched better, but the Honey one didn't. I don't know. I just think their Naked palettes could have a lot better of a formula, and so a lot of people hyped this up, and I guess they probably hyped it up because honestly this is the best Naked palette that they have, and that's sad because they have a lot. So if this is the best formula they can come up with, then I guess it would be worth the hype. If this is as good as you can get, I just don't think it's worth any hype. Alright, now it's your favorite palette from a favorite brand, and I've talked about this palette in like the past like 3 or 4 videos, and here it is again. It's Moonspell from Lunar Beauty. The packaging gets me. I love this packaging. I love Halloween. I love everything Halloween. It has like Halloween packaging. The shades are named after witches on TV shows and movies. The color story screams like a witchy kind of color story. You've got the greens, the purples, the neutrals. I love this palette. It's so good. I did a look with it. I will link that down below. You guys can go check it out. Such a good palette. Okay guys, only 2 more palettes to talk about. So the second is your most used palette. And for me, that's the Colored Rain Queen of Hearts. I mean, look how dirty this is. It's so dirty. I use it quite often. It's so beautiful. This was like one of like probably like the most hyped palette for the longest time. I think it's worth it. So I'm going to swatch Queen Mother, Your Majesty. This is so good. Love this palette. I use it quite often. Obviously, it's my most used. I would say out of all the palettes today, the ones that you should definitely check out if you haven't is the Queen of Hearts Colored Rain. the Moonspell by Lunar Beauty, and the Tati Beauty palette. Those would definitely be my top 3 that I would say you guys should definitely go run and check out. Okay, last palette, and that is one that you have used every shade from, and for me, it's the ColourPop All That. This was my go-to winter palette this past winter. I absolutely love it. I will say, like, these 2 shades blended out to be the same, so that was kind of disappointing. But other than that, it's really good. It does have some pressed glitters. Again, I don't mind pressed glitters. Here's the shade Infatuation. I love this shade. Like, it is so unique. Oh, love it. Here's Fishnets. We'll swatch one of the mattes. Let's go with Please Me. Oh, yeah, I have used every shade. This was my go-to winter palette, and I have a feeling that it might be my go-to winter palette again this winter. I guess we'll find out when winter comes, but I love that for winter time. Alright guys, so that completes this video. Those are my palette tags. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what you thought your favorite palette was. But that is it for this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.